Welcome back. My next guest is a certified executive coach, internationally syndicated columnist, and author of Find Your Courage. Unleash your full potential and live the life you really want. Please welcome Margie Warrell. So great to have you.
Oh, it's great to be here, Timberly.
Now, you were living in Australia and planning to move to the U.S. on September 11th, 2001. Tell us what happened.
Well, actually, it was like the perfect storm in personal challenges. I had a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 5-week-old baby.
Wow.
And my husband came in early in the morning and said, "Wake up, honey, you've got to see something has happened." And got up, turned on the TV, and was like, oh. So suddenly everyone started ringing us saying, "You're not still moving to America, are you? You know, you're not getting on a plane with 3 young children." And I have to say, it was one of those difficult periods in life where you really feel like everything's coming at you. But, you know, there was a couple of key things I learnt during that period. One is that we always have a choice about whether we let other people's fears become our own. You know, everyone was so afraid for us. You know, the whole mood of the world shifted after September 11th.
It was out of love, but
yeah,
you
out
had
of
to think
concern.
about concern and love.
But you know, we were really excited about experiencing life in the US and the opportunities it provided, and we just really made that choice. We're going to move anyway. And the second thing I learned is that, you know, ultimately in life, we are capable of a lot more than we think we are. So often we sell ourselves short and we think, oh, I could never do that. But really, when we are put in situations where there's a lot to that we've got to take on, that we find in us resources we didn't even know we had.
Well, I mean, you could have let that day change your plans, but you didn't. You went with the flow. We're talking about let life flow.
Yeah.
And in your book, Find Your Courage, you have a whole chapter on letting go. What is sort of the connection with letting go and courage?
Yeah.
Does seem to be a connection.
Yeah, sometimes when people think of letting go, they think of throwing in the towel on life and just spending the days, you know, smelling the roses and chanting.
You don't mean that
and chanting
by any
peace
means.
mantras.
Yeah,
I don't mean that at all.
Yeah.
What I mean is not about, you know, giving up the fight in life, but giving up fighting against life. You know, it's so important to have big goals that inspire us, but we need to let go our attachment to having things turn out exactly the way we want.
And also in your book, you have many ways of giving us examples of how to let go.
Yeah. Well, one of them is to just let go resisting the way things are. You know, so often we don't like the way things are, whether it's in our relationships or in our career or in life in general. And we put up a lot of resistance. We can complain about things a lot and we can deny things are a certain way. But it's so important to just say it is as it is. And when we say that, it's not saying we like it, nor is it saying, well, we're not going to try and change it. It's just to say, this is the way it is.
But shouldn't some things you should try to change some things,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So at what point do you say to yourself, okay, I'm just going to let go and not resist? And what point do you say, let me keep going?
Well, it's not about saying I'm not going to try and change it. It's just to acknowledge that it is the way it is.
It is difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult.
Example.
Or, you know, when I was in my teens and then into my early 20s, I had bulimia. And I spent years kind of saying, well, it's just this little eating problem I have right now, and I'm going to stop it. I'm going to stop it. It was only when I said, you know what, I have an eating disorder, and that I really owned what it was. You know, I said it is as it is. That's when I was able to step into action and really do something and take, you know, the actions that I needed to take to ultimately get over it. But, you know, often, you know, I have clients as a coach, you know, all the time, they're going, well, you know, my boss, you know, says that, you know, I'm not communicating very well, and that's just not true. Well, it's like if you're getting enough feedback that way, then it's likely that it is as it is.
Take a look at yourself,
yeah,
maybe, perhaps.
Take responsibility.
Right.
And the thing is, when we stop resisting, it frees up a lot of energy and allows us to be that much more powerful in changing the things we don't like.
And you also talk about adventure. This sounds like fun. What's this all about?
Yeah, well, actually, in my early 20s, after I graduated from college, I put on a backpack and I spent a couple of years traveling around the world, largely on my own. And, you know, I learnt a lot during that time that really, you know, life is as big as we dare to dream it to be. But, you know, you don't need a passport to have a spirit of adventure. It's not just about going off exploring Africa or South America. You know, in our daily lives, we can embrace a sense of adventure, just trying new things, being open to things. You know, the fact is, we're going to experience change in life. That's a certainty. But whether our experience of it is one of horror, terror, or one of wonder is a choice. You know, we all have things happen to us in life that we would never predict. You know, but September 11 is a perfect example. But sometimes it's those things that aren't ones we've planned, that like those balls that come from left field, that we can really turn into some of the greatest things in our life, that we can learn from, and that can become some of the richest experiences that we have.
And it's really all about our reaction to things, really. Like you said, your choice,
it is.
your reaction.
You know, we can't always choose what happens to us, but we always get to choose how we respond.
How you respond. And you also talk about faith being bigger than fear.
Yeah. You know, so often, I think, as I said earlier, we underestimate what we're capable of. And it really is about trusting more deeply in ourselves, that we have within us the resources to do the things that inspire us and to handle whatever comes our way in life. And often we want to control everything and we get scared, and that's why we hold on. It's like it's got to be a certain way. But, you know, just to trust in ourselves and to trust in the bigger scheme of life, that everything is going to work out perfectly.
And you say trust in the divine plan.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. That there's a bigger picture to it.
When you look at it like that, it sort of, you know, makes it a little more doable.
Yeah.
And you think of there's something bigger out there that's, you know.
I have 4 children, 4 beautiful children, but prior to having my very first pregnancy, I found out at 19 weeks that I'd lost my baby. And then I had 2 more miscarriages, and then I had 2 more between my second and third. And you know, each of those, and there's so many women who've experienced miscarriages, and they're awful. But, you know, I know for me the lesson in that was just to trust that in the big picture of things, that everything would work out. And it really is when we're finding ourselves feeling overwhelmed, like the waves are coming at us and we feel like we're going under, just to trust we're going to make it to shore, just to keep the faith.
I came across this quote recently, and I thought this is perfect for when Margie comes. You must do the things you think you cannot do, by Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yeah.
I think that's just perfect.
It's so true.
And now that takes courage, going with the flow of life.
It really does. And I always think our life shrinks or expands in proportion to our courage and our willingness to let go and go with the flow.
I like that one too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. 4 kids between the ages of 4 and 9, I think you said.
Yeah.
You really do let life flow. Thank you so much, Margie, for coming in.
It's been a pleasure.